Andres, in your book, you tell this wonderful story that I'd never heard before. That was so moving to me, and I've told it to many people since then. Of Marius Mignol, who is the essentially the inventor of the radial tire, which we all use when we're driving down the road. And I'm going to quickly summarize the story, but Marius Mignol came looking for a job to Michelin, the tire company, and he didn't have any skills to speak of. And so the HR representative took pity on him and put him in the mailroom, which was the only experience he had. Pretty soon, though, the Edward Michelin at the time came by and saw him and said, "Who's this new guy?" And he said, "Well, he was hired, and only experience we had was in the mailroom, so I put him in the mailroom." And Edward Michelin said, "No, we need to put him somewhere else because we need to know what he can do." And pretty quickly, he solved a problem that the engineers had been looking at for a really long time, which was getting the tires to go as fast as the engines could make them go, essentially changing transportation entirely forever. So if you don't mind, do you want to fill in the gaps in that story of maybe I missed, and also tell me a little bit about how you see this as as sort of a fulfillment of all of these ideas that we talk about in creativity
Yeah,
at work.
I mean, Marius Mignol is a beautiful story, and Francois Michelin behind him, or Edouard Michelin behind him, is even, in a sense, an extension of the beautiful part of the story. The engines at the time, it's always interesting. People forget that engines could have gone 100 miles an hour from the beginning. It's the
Yeah,
tires that couldn't, because they would keep blowing up. On the one hand, if you have solid plastic tires or rubber tires, you would sort of fall over because it would bump so much. And so they filled it with air, but air-filled tires could go at most 30 miles an hour, and then they would blow up. And so there was actually
wow,
a conviction back then that you could never go faster, that you had to go, with the train to go faster, that cars would never compete with that, until Marius. And I think the beauty of the story, and the reason why I'm telling it, I actually learned it from a guy called Alexander Havard, French guy, also a business professor. He learned this story directly from Francois Michelin, the last heir of the Michelin tire company, the last CEO. And the beauty of it is this: that when you have a team, there is, first of all, there's always, we approach teams the wrong way. We approach employees the wrong way. We have a hermeneutic of suspicion with employees, that you have to earn my trust. This should be the other way around. Why are you hiring these people if they don't have your trust? I mean, should go the other way around.
yeah, yeah,
First, you should have trust in them until there's a reason why you wouldn't trust them.
right,
And then with the trust, so you notice that Michelin didn't have any kind of a negative suspicion of him. He actually had a positive suspicion of him, to say, I wonder what this man can do. There's a fundamental belief in humanity you need to have as an owner of a company, as somebody who hires any human beings, and that is that humans are not the problem. Humans are
mhm,
the solutions. We're making a big
right,
mistake thinking that humans are problems. Humans are not the problem. Humans are the solution. Now, sometimes we cause problems, but even to those, we are the solution.
mhm,
And we take in business, any one of you listening to this takes in business all kinds of risks, all the time, with the investments you make with your company, with new equipment you're buying, with product strategies and everything. And you're willing to take very high risks, except with one ingredient in your company, and that is with your employees, where you make very few strategic investments of actually seeing what somebody has in them.
mhm,
And what Michelin did is he took a chance out of his positive expectation from humanity. He believed in humanity. He would say, you have to break open the stone to find the diamond inside, or the jewel, the gemstone
mhm,
inside.
yeah,
And what he meant by this is, expose this man, expose this employee, expose this woman to different environments in your company to find out what their talents are.
right,
That requires you to have a fundamental belief in two things. This person has talent, and that's true. Remember, 250 students in my company. I've never found one who couldn't start a company because they
Wow.
all have talent. Everybody has a talent. The first is the talent, and the second is the person's willingness that when they find their talent, that it will propel them and they learn fast and they want to use it. And that is the belief in humanity that they want to work if you give them good work, right? So
Right.
those two things are something that is a lot of the times absent in our companies, which actually I think is the culprit in our disengagement at work. That people feel used, mistrusted, um, and therefore react in a way that creates disengagement and even conflict or
Right.
malevolence for against the company. That would not happen at Michelin because Francois and Edward, they had a strong belief in humanity. They invested in people and took a chance on them.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think even if that wouldn't have worked out with Mignol, I think he wouldn't have not given up on him, but moved him into another, into another area to explore his talents.
Yeah. Yeah. So even though that's the success story, even just the investment in Marius would have been an investment that would have returned more regardless of what the end result would be.
Exactly.
What are one or a few things that that team leaders or business owners or people in positions of authority might be able to do to invest, as you say, in the creativity or invest in the
Mhm.
employees in this way?
So one thing that I'm doing here at my center is I don't like job descriptions because they're limiting. Again,
Yeah.
they're not exploratory in terms of somebody's talents. I take we take great care before we hire people, and when we hire somebody, we usually give them free reign. So that is, I will give you free reign for a year, 12 months,
Mhm.
to walk around our organization and add value wherever you find. Like you come into my class, you basically attend my class, you go to other people's classes, you go to our events, you go to the online stuff that we're doing and everything, and just go and kick the tires. And over those 12 years, whenever you see an opportunity where you think you could add more value, come back to me and let me know.
Hmm.
What this creates, so some of my most successful projects in our center are not from me. They're from those people that I hire to come and kick our tires and find out where's the hole, where's the value
Yeah.
add
Yeah.
missing, and having this outside perspective, a fresh perspective to walk into any area of our company. It's not a company, it's a center, but into any area, and there's no taboos. You can go to any meeting you want. I tell you, if you hire people for their character and for their involvement, and then you allow them these new set of eyes, this interested new set of eyes, is going to find opportunities that will blow you away. Now, I challenge you to do it once, and I think you only have to do it once for you to find out how absolutely a winning idea this is.
That's a great that that's such a great way to encourage your employees, and I especially like or team members. I especially like the fact that you are inviting them into a critique of maybe your own stuff, right?
Yeah,
Maybe this is
exactly.
an area where you're not doing something very well, and
Yeah,
there might be a situation where like I'm not going to tell the boss that, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's really great advice, and I'm gonna implement that in my own organization. That's great. Thank you. Well, thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much, Andreas, for this time, for these responses. If anyone's listening to this clip, go and check out the entire thing on andreas-widmer.com. Thanks again, Andreas, and you have a great rest of your week.
It's always a pleasure. Be well.